Hey guys, Jeremy here, Dragon's Breath Glassworks, back in our Pennsylvania studio again. I have Tommy again today, and we are going to make a nice ruffle bowl. So I'm going to go into the furnace with my pipe that's already been preheated. I'm going to gather up my glass. Yeah, we always work Roman style here. We have the glory hole, but we don't use it. Rarely do we use it. I'm going to take my clear glass. I'm going to go into some blue color. I pre-mix colors together. I think it adds extra depth and vibrance when you have 4 or 5 shades of the same color family mixed together. It also makes for a very fast production technique when you need to make pieces over and over and over again. Since we're going to do a ruffle bowl, and I'm going to be blowing it out larger than a mug or ornaments, we're going to go ahead and put on 2 layers of color. By adding extra layers, you increase the density of the color, which is going to keep things more vibrant, give you more depth. When you're working with mixes like this, though, you have to be careful not to add too many layers. If you're just working with a single shade, then you can add as many layers as you want. It's going to get darker and darker unless you blow it out enough, but it's not going to muddy up. When you add multiple shades, you do risk the color muddying up a little bit while you're working. So I've found that for the pieces I make and the style and the speed at which I work, 2 coats is just about right for most pieces. So again, I'm going to smooth this out. We've got spots of blue, and that's fine, but let's do something a little more exciting. I'm going to do a friction or marver twist. I'm going to twist this in place against the marver to create a nice twist. It twists up everything except the tip, but that can be resolved with the diamond shears at the bench. I'm going to grab a hold of the very front, and I'm going to twist, and I actually push back against the pipe while I'm doing this to kind of squat up the form. It's okay if it gets a little wonky, because we take another heat anyway to melt that tip out, and after that heat, we'll marver it again to straighten everything out before the puff and cap. Pulling back with the back end low, we'll pull all that color off the moil. Some people prefer to pre-prep the moil area so that it doesn't hold the color like that before they even apply the color, and that's a totally acceptable way to do it. I just like it this way. So the puff and cap. Pressure is building up. It's going to take a little bit of time for that bubble to work its way forward. With the extra marvering with this color pattern, everything cools off a little bit more. Sometimes you have to go in and do this twice. The pipe caught on my ring a little bit there and stopped turning, so I had to correct and let it fall back on center. Yep, there goes the bubble. I'm watching right where the color meets the moil, and I can usually see the bubble exiting the pipe as that happens. The hotter your glass is, the faster that bubble is going to leave the pipe. All right, so that's a good start. It's pretty thick on the tip, but the way I make bowls, I like that. I like that magnification on the bottom of the piece when it's all done. It lets you really look at that color pattern without overstretching it, but it still allows you to create a large vessel with a relatively thin lip on the outer edge. I don't like overly thick pieces. That's just my personal taste. Some people love them. That's just not how I work. So I'm gonna go back in the furnace, grab some more glass, and come out. There's 2 schools of thought on the second gather. Some people think you should completely cover your original gather. I personally think that you only need to cover your color. That way you're not wasting any more clear glass out of the furnace than you need to. Once again, I like to go with the paper for the initial shaping out of the furnace. But with a bowl, I will use a cherry wood block for sizing. I usually go with a 5-inch block on these bowls. That way I know it's going to fit nicely in my annealing oven. All right, so back into the furnace. Tommy is going to bring me my hose because I left it at the bench. I learned to blow glass on a hose rather than with bench blows, and so I prefer the hose. I like to control exactly how much air goes into my pieces rather than relying on someone else to make that judgment call or risk them not hearing my instructions. There are disadvantages with a hose. You risk getting tangled up in it, or it could get knotted or caught up at the swivel. Those are the most common issues. When working with a hose, if you see my mouth pursing, it means I'm blowing. Squeezing down my jack line, angling out to create a shoulder and neck for the bowl. And that's when I start with my block. So I'll start with a 3-inch just to check size. In reality, this block is so burned out, it's probably closer to a 3.5. And then we'll move up to a 4-inch. And I'll stop somewhere before the 5. So we won't even go to the 5-inch, but I will blow it out a little more using the paper. All right, so I could completely flatten this, but then you lose this gentle curve. Instead, we're going to add a pedestal foot to hold this up. Tommy's going to work his way around to the furnace, and he's going to gather up some glass for that foot. I still have enough residual heat in the piece that I don't really need to worry about flashing it. You can even see some of that orange glow still on the bottom and up here near the jack line. Now, I use a graphite pad for a couple of reasons when I drop a cookie foot. One, it pulls a lot less heat out of the glass than steel does. It really acts with glass a lot like marble does. So if you've ever worked with a marble marver, graphite's very similar. The other reason I use this is that it helps prevent the steel from warping. My marver's only a 1/4 inch thick, and if I dropped cookie feet on it all day long, it would definitely warp over time. Tommy's going to let that glass heat up in the furnace and round out. When you're taking a foot like this, it's really important that it's hot. The shape is somewhat important. The better a glass blower you are, the easier it is to correct for a bad shape. I'll take that, Tommy. And some heat. Heat is the most important thing. Hand up. So it's going to flow right off the end of the pipe. Very nice delivery, Tommy. Cuts really easily. These are not terribly sharp diamond shears anymore. I need to send them back for sharpening. But when you work every day, it's hard to find the time. I'm fusing just very lightly this foot to the glass. I'm checking to make sure it's centered, and at the very end, on that last push, I push down a little bit to help finish fusing. Now, Tommy's going to grab a wooden paddle. I'm reheating the foot and the base of the bowl, and I'm going to use my jacks, and he's going to use the paddle, and we're going to kind of pull this out into a pedestal. It's doing a couple different things. It's showing off the shape of the bottom. It's also lifting the piece up to put it on display a little bit more, and it's adding bottom weight and stability. So that's why I prefer these cookie feet. I put them on almost every bowl I make, and I put them on just about every vase for the same reason. Tommy's going to step over here in front and on gently, please. And really, he's not really pushing. He's just giving me something to pull against. A lot of times people who are just learning to paddle make that mistake of trying to do the work with the paddle instead of the jacks. Off. And sometimes that's appropriate. Sometimes you do want to do some work with the paddle, but most of the time you want to do the work with your jacks. On once more, Tommy. And off. And punty. So this is good. I like it. It's still moving around a lot. I'm going to cool it with a Sophie. Tommy's starting his punny. When he comes out of the furnace, I'm going to go give this a flash of heat. The bottom's nice and flat. We got a nice little divot right there, so it's going to help this piece sit flat on the table, even if your table isn't perfectly flat on its own. That's fine. So Tommy's pushing that forward. The punny itself is a little cold. The rod's a little cold, so we're going to work around that. Again, I like my punnies to come real fast. I don't like the, heat cool technique. There's nothing innately wrong with it. It's just not conducive to my style. On this particular one, because of the shape of the glass off the tip and the cold pipe, I went ahead with a donut style punny. Little drop of water. And watch what Tommy does when we break this off. He's going to tilt this down towards the floor and just make sure that no little chips from that lip get stuck up inside. This is especially important for the bowl. If it's on a vase and a little tiny chip falls down to the bottom, it's not really going to affect anything. But on a bowl, when we open this up, it'll be really obvious and it'll be a significant flaw. So we want to make sure there's absolutely no chips in the bottom. Tommy, when I come out of here, could you start up a silver blue lip wrap, please? So I had not planned, I'm throwing a trick over here for Tommy. We hadn't planned on putting a lip wrap on this, but I think it could really use one. We're working pretty smoothly, and it's going to add just a little extra something to the piece. So when I come out, Tommy's going to go in with a punny. It'll be cold. That's okay. He's going to take a slow gather to give the heat in the furnace time to warm up the pipe. Go ahead, Tommy. I'm going to smooth out this lip a little bit and kind of prep the shape for a punty. Now, I could have trimmed it, but it broke off pretty cleanly. And so I don't really need to trim this. There's one little spot that's thinner than the rest, but by the time we put the lip wrap on here, you're not even going to know. You can see there's residual heat at the top still. We're going to use that to put the punty on, the wrap on. So go in underneath. I'm coming out. So I've got some good heat here. Tommy is melting in the heat. He's not going to shape that again. He shaped it in the color and a little bit on the marver before he even went in to melt it. So as soon as that's hot, he'll bring it over. I prefer him to come from a 45-degree angle behind the bench. Different people prefer different ways. So Tommy's going to cross around. I'll take that, Tommy. He's going to cross by, level out. Back in low, please. We're going to let this kind of squat up a little bit. And 45, please. Some people cut their wraps. I tend to cast them away. If your heat is there, again, it's just one more way to keep tool marks off your glass. If you cut it and you look close when you're finished, you will see that cut line, even if you fully fuse the lip wrap to the body. Tommy's got a wooden paddle. He's going to help control this lip while I stretch the bowl open. First, I'm getting it really hot. I usually get these hot enough on the lip wrap heat to stretch those walls to 90 degrees or even a little bit past. Some people take a lot more heat, and that's fine. Again, it's whatever works for you. And on, please, Tommy. And off. Very good. All right. Get glove up and get ready on... Actually, do not glove up. I forgot what color we were using here. Go ahead and get ready on the door. Tommy's never made a silver blue lip wrap on a bowl with me. Since we're not using a glory hole, I can't open this furnace door wide enough to reduce the silver blue on the bowl inside the furnace. So what we're going to do is, after I open this up, Tommy is going to grab a blowtorch. I'm going to grab a blowtorch. He's going to reduce the inside of the lip. I'll reduce the outside with the blowtorches. So we use MAP gas for that. Go ahead and open the door all the way, please. Go ahead and grab the torch, please. Make sure I've got one on the bench. And in 3, 2, 1, we're going to stretch this open. Some people prefer to spin this out in the furnace. I prefer to do it outside the furnace. I like asymmetry a little bit. I don't like crazy asymmetrical pieces, but if we get one little spot of the lip that wants to pull out more, I go with it. I let it push out more than the rest. I'll accentuate those curves if I need to. And Tommy is gonna heat up the inside. Tommy, do the other side of the bowl, please. There you go. That way you're not torching me at the bench. Now, Tommy's got the larger torch, so he's actually getting more reduction than I am, which is what I want. All right, Tommy, go ahead and glove up. And it's a very subtle reduction, but it's there. What do you think? There's our silver blue lip on the bowl. Now, Tommy's gloving up. He's heating up those gloves. When I break this off in his hands, he's going to only touch it in this area right in here on either side. We'll do this right next to the oven. Now's good, Tommy. And you got it? A gentle tap and it pops right off. And on the shelf, please. Perfect. And close. And that's how we make a bowl. At the end, we put it into our annealer to control the cool down so it doesn't rip itself to pieces while it's cooling and shrinking a little bit. If you see around our shop, we're going to pan slowly around here so you can kind of see everything that we make and the mess that we make during the week of production. We make everything you see in the shop the same way. So if it's something you see that you like, you can always contact us. Thank you all so much for watching our video. We hope you enjoyed it and we hope you learned something new today. Have a great day.